Thank you, Taylor. Anyway, so my name is Pascal Hamelin, President and CEO of Abcourt Mine. I'm here to present you our company this afternoon. I'd like to thank Red Cloud for allowing us to present our company to the group here. So, Abcourt, we're located in Quebec. All our assets, we have gold, base metal in Quebec, management's in Quebec, and I'm the QP for the company, mining engineer, over 32 years in the business. Why invest in Abcourt? First and foremost, we're selling dorés. We have a mill that we 100% own, fully permitted, and we've been cleaning the mill for the last 12 months. We extracted and sold over 4,000 ounces. We're putting the mill back together as we speak. Well, we began in September. The tilling facility, we did the work this fall required for this winter and in 2024. And anytime I could get a phone call saying that we're starting to mill. So we have a stockpile of about between 8,500 and 9,000 tons of 7-something grade. So we're looking at over 1,000 ounces sitting in front of us. And then we're going to continue with the underground at Sleeping Giant. The Sleeping Giant mine is directly underneath the mill. There's no trucking. We're growing. We got over 500 square kilometers of land, all in northern Quebec, within trucking distance from the mill. We also have some base metal asset, but the focus for us right now is gold. Resource growth, we already have over, we got close to a little bit over 500,000 ounces of indicated resource and over 600,000 ounces of inferred, all within 100 kilometers from the mill. And also, many news coming up in the next few weeks and months. We're about to begin a drill campaign on the ground at Sleeping Giant, over 22,000 meter. And that drill campaign is to convert inferred ounces into indicated to eventually support pre-feasibility. So how are we going to execute? Well, first it starts with a good board. Well-versed, we have different background in the board, legal, technical, but also very important financial background. The board owns over 35% of the shares. Board members, not the board. Management team, we got engineers, geologists. Very important person is the management that's going to extract the gold and send it to the mill. So we have operating management at the site to execute on the plan. Whoops. So capital structure, 483 million shares outstanding as we speak. Market cap around 19 million. And for those of you who wonder, there's no consolidation considered right now. And to me, unless the shareholder pushed it down my throat, we're not going to see consolidation of shares. And we own over 35% of the shares, and the orange, the high net worth investors, is people, the difference between them and retail is the high net worth, they call me. Our properties, the Sleeping Giant Mill is the number one. It's located up here. It's 80 kilometers north of Amos. So it's driving distance from the Abitibi camp. And the mill, and there's nothing around. It's just forest. There's no community, no lakes. It's good land to have a mine. Actually, we're a kilometer from the paved highway, and we're on the hydro, we're connected to the grid. The other properties where we have high interests are over here. Like when I say 1 million ounces of gold in the camp is between Sleeping Giant, Florida, and Discovery. So these two assets here are less than 80 kilometers from the mill. So once we have a good quality resource, the plan is to eventually truck that over to the mill. The base metal asset that we have, whoops. Base metal, about 60 kilometers north of Val-d'Or. It's a zinc asset. It's a resource. There was a reserve in the past, but with the COVID and the escalation of capital costs, I think this needs to be revisited. So anyway, our focus is Sleeping Giant. We just released a PEA in June 2023. You're looking at an NPV of over $50 million at 5% discount. IR is pretty good. The initial CapEx is close to 42, which consists of underground development. So it can be phased throughout, like it's not CapEx all required on day one. So what we're doing right now, Abcourt, is this PEA was based from the resource estimate that we released in December 2022. Since then, our geologists continue to work on the deposit. Now we have enough material, I cannot call it ore yet, so we have enough material that we can start producing as we speak. So that's why we're going to process that 8,000 ton first, and then we're just going to keep going with the material from Sleeping Giant. I'll show you a picture here in a few seconds. So fully permitted. The grade that you saw here on the PA is 8.1 grams. Historically, the mine was at 10.3. So there's room for the resource to go up and eventually the reserve. The shaft is well maintained, the ventilation, the dewatering system, everything's in place to access and mine from the upper levels. The lower levels, we need to refurbish the escapeway, the second egress, so that will come with the CapEx later. But at first, mine from the upper levels, drill from the upper levels to convert inferred ounces into indicated, and then do the pre-feasibility late 2024 or early 2025, and then fund the remaining of the mine, so second egress to access the lower levels of the mine, and also the sleep camp that we want to build at the site to attract labor from the entire BCB region, because commuting from Rouyn-Noranda to the mine site is over, it's an hour 45. So in the winter months, it's not ideal. We're connected to the power grid, mining lease is in place, all the permits. So there's no timing risk or time constraint risk with permitting with the ministries or public consultations. So the PEA was based from a resource model that was built in December 2022. We used 3D modeling, leapfrogs. Innovexplo from Val-d'Or did the resource estimate. Actually, some of the owners of Innovexplo used to work at Sleeping Giant, so they know the deposit very well. So we increased the ounces significantly between 2018 and 2022, just by doing a 3D model. We have over 1 million meters of drilling to work on the 3D model. And it's, we were on the edge of, Leapfrog was on the edge of, it's a very big deposit. A lot of structures, over 800 of them were identified. So the Security Commission makes me put this, so I'll let you read at your leisure. Anyway, so what you got to remember is the green is what's in the PEA. The 180,000 ounces identified in the PEA are the stopes identified in green that you see here. What you see in gold is the additional stopes that we identified since the resource estimate of December 2022. So there's additional area that we identified just by continuing to work on the 3D model. And now that's where the goal, some of them are inferred, so we need to drill them before stoping them and mining. But some of them, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be mined and processed before we drill. And the blue here is the upside, like what's eventually, once you get the mine going, okay, what's next? Well, you got to drill. The blue is the area that it's not drilled. So it's area within 100, 100, 200 meters from infrastructure that is not drilled. Historically, in the past, we're dealing with $200, $300 gold, not $2,700. So if you look at the 3D model, you see that the majority of the drill hole was definition drilling just to support next month production. So the upside potential with this mine is pretty good. And outside the mining lease is over here, okay? And you see there's so much drilling, it's black. You don't see anything, okay? But there's been some drilling outside by Cambior back in early 2000. They were looking for open pit. So a lot of these holes, they're shallow holes, like 100 meter, 150 meters. So the plunge to the east, over here, it's not drill at depth. So eventually, our plan is to eventually go back in there and see what we have to the east with the down plunge from that deposit. And it's all our land. So we don't have to discuss with GV partners or anything. It's 100% owned by Abcourt. Now, discovery, I'll go quick because it's not as critical for us in the short term. In the long term, it's going to be good because discovery in Florida, right now the Sleeping Giant mill with the plan with Sleeping Giant mine is to fill the mill at 40%. So the other 60%, how are we going to do that? Well, of course, you can talk to the neighbors that are other companies, but if you want to have your internal growth, we have the Discovery deposit, 80 kilometers that could feed the mill eventually. So you're looking at 5-gram material. This is underground. And Florida deposit, which is 5 kilometers from Discovery. It's road access, 30 kilometers from the town of Lebel-sur-Quivillon. This summer, we're a little bit delayed because of forest fire in that area. But now the forestry company made all the roads. It's, for us, like we go in there, yeah, it's all black, but the roads are there. So Florida, that's where we're drilling right now. We're doing just a small campaign, 1,200 meters this fall. And it's to confirm some of the extensions of the open pit. I invite you to read a press release we released last week. So 2023, our goal was to do the PEA, start the underground drilling at Sleeping Giant, update the resource estimate. We did all that. On the corporate side, we completed the transaction to acquire a junior company in the Abitibi camp with a decent prospect with internal, like with a 43-101. Very, very small deposit, Pershing Many 2, about 5,000 meters of drilling, but surface, and already has, we already have the 5,000-ton bulk sample, and it's broken, and that's going to be processed in the coming weeks. And also, eventually, we're considering the spinning out of the base metal asset. So eventually, we're going to be looking at that, but in the short term, it's Sleeping Giant. So to conclude, why invest in Abcourt? We're in gold. We're about to produce. So a lot of our costs to execute the pre-feasibility will be from cash flow. So that's a good thing for an investor. And we're growing, and I get offered property outside of Quebec, but we want to stay where we know the area. The focus for us is Northwest Quebec. So on this, any questions?